Alright, welcome back to Fast Gadgets. So, this is a video about my recently set up main desktop Linux system. I've noticed when I'm playing videos, so here's an example actually. This is my video, so I'll just click play.
Basically, to be able to see full screen.
If I take this video full screen, you can see how choppy the video is, and the quality is so-so. I can't even get full HD mode. I'm not sure why yet, but I have a suspicion it has to do with the driver. So I'm going to take the plunge here. What I'm going to do, I have done this before successfully, and it usually works out just fine. I went and grabbed the Linux drivers for my video card, and I have the GT 640 video card. It's really not the greatest card in the world, but it does everything I need it to do, and I do want the performance from it. I'm running Linux 64-bit with a GT 640 in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close the browser since I've already downloaded the driver, and I'm going to make this a little bit larger. Now I'm pretty sure, well, the way the drivers used to work, it would ask you to exit graphical mode. So if those of you who don't understand Linux, it does not need to run in graphical mode. So I could run Linux in command line only mode. So before I can even do that, if I clear the screen here, if I do a directory listing of my downloads directory, you'll see I now have this file. Now if I tried to run this file, it wouldn't run as it is. So I'm going to modify the file and make the file executable. This is a script, it looks like, and what I want to do is actually run this script. So I'm going to use the shell command, and what I do is I begin typing in the title and then I press the tab button. Except with the shell command, of course, it won't let you do that. So now you'll notice that the file is green. So since I did the chmod command, which is modifying this particular file so it can be executed, I'm going to try to just execute it. If not, I will have to use the shell command. I'm going to press enter and let's see what we get. Okay, so yeah, it's just going to run. It may bark at me and tell me, hey, you can't install this driver unless you're running in non-graphical mode. So let's see what it says. I'll say accept. Yeah, the Nouveau driver is the default driver set. I don't think I really need to do a disable. I'm going to say yes, go ahead and try and do it. Actually, if I want to re-enable Nouveau, I have to do it here. So I'm going to say no problem. And I'm going to try and get us to text mode only. So I'm going to use init3. Okay, not the easiest way to read. But basically what I did so far, I used the command init space 3 to tell Linux that I don't need to be running the graphical interface. So the graphical interface is shut down now. And I'm going to change directory back to my downloads directory. And I do not need the leading / since my directory is relative to the current directory I'm in. Okay, so let's try this again. And see if it'll run this time. I may get lucky. I'm really hoping so. So basically I've got the legalese. I'm going to try accept again. It says the Nouveau kernel driver is currently in use by the system, but we'll try again. Alright, I realize the text is very tiny, but one of the things that I did need to do was add several more packages. In order to get it to boot without the Nouveau driver, because it will always boot up, I'm going to have to edit sysconfig grub, which is my configuration. And on this last line here, which you can't see, second to the last line, here at the end, and I'm using the BI text editor. After quiet, I need to insert that I'm going to blacklist the Nouveau driver. So when I reboot, I should no longer be able to see that Nouveau driver. And I'm just confirming the text rd.driver.blacklist equals Nouveau. So I'm going to press escape key to get out of edit mode, then WQ to write and quit the file. And then down here, I will need to use the grub2 command and update mkconfig-o /boot/grub2/grub.cfg. Okay, and then that was for BIOS. Now we need to do the same for UEFI, but I don't think I have UEFI. 2-make config-o /boot /EFI Fedora grub.cfg. I'm going to run that second one anyway, but and they recommend doing a DNF remove xorg -x11-drv- Nouveau. It says, are you sure you want to do this? I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to have to regenerate the RAM disk that is used when I boot up. And I'm going to move this down. Let's back up the old init RAM fs dash $ uname space -r. So I'm basically running uname -r to get the kernel name. That way I don't have to type it in. init ram fs dash $, uname dash r. Okay, yeah, many typos. It's very difficult to see the text. Okay, we're going to try again. That worked. And hopefully I don't have any typos this time. Typos are bad, especially when you're creating the RAM disk for the system. And we definitely want to be able to boot up, don't we? Well, I mean, honestly, if there was a problem, I could boot into the debug kernel. And I have the older version of the kernel, which would run just perfectly fine. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm already in run level 3. I'm not running the GUI. Okay, so it says we want to do a Systemctl set default multi-user target. So what this is going to do is ensure that we boot up into multi-user mode, which used to be known as run level 3 in the old System 5. So it says it's changed, so we're going to do a reboot. Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. There we go. Woohoo! Telling you I should keep this kernel. This is beautiful. You know, it used to be a lot easier to boot in single mode. I'm telling you right now, this was a way easier proposition. Alright. I'm going to change directory again to home mark. It's not caps mark. Downloads. And do an ls. And we're going to run this file. I'm thinking it's going to work. Based on this install guide, this guy took many precautions. Oh, yep, we're good. Yes, I'm going to install the 32-bit compatibility libraries. So it's now actually bought, installing everything. It's registering it. Okay, so now we're ready to use Systemctl. Used to be the service command is what you would use in System 5, but now with Systemd we use Systemctl. We're going to set the default back to the graphical target, because remember we had it set so that it would boot to command line only multi-user. But just so you know, in command line multi-user, you still do have the internet. So I should be able to find, say, google.com. There you go. We're still connected to the internet. So there are a lot of text tools you could use, even a browser. And I may do a video on that sometime if you're interested in that. So let's do a reboot. And I'm going to pull this way back so we can get the whole screen in. This is either going to work or it isn't. That's usually how it goes. We'll get that screen sharp for you. Alright, so it's going to boot to that kernel. Should go into graphical mode. So far, so good. Now, I don't know if you could see what the TV was saying, but it's basically in 1080p mode now, where with the Nouveau driver it was actually booted into 1080i mode. So I'm now 1080p, and I can honestly tell that it's somewhat clearer. Alright, so our big test here, looking good. Let's go ahead and run the browser. And we're going to play whatever video, it really doesn't matter. How about off the grid? Now I've got the sound muted, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're going to go full screen. Much, much better. However, what's really odd is that it's not... I don't know why it's selecting... There we go. Now we got 720p. Oh boy, we got a thunderstorm coming. Is working perfectly fine now. But you know what I'm going to do? I got a little trick I can play. So that's with the flash driver. I'm going to disable flash. I have a tool here that lets me select whichever player. I'm going to reload because I'm going to use the HTML5. And let's go ahead and go full screen. We really are trying to get a higher definition. I know that I rendered this video out. Yeah, I want 1080p right there. So it's doing auto right now. I'm just going to select 1080p. Awesome, it's working great. Before I was not even able to play any of these videos in 1080p, especially with HTML5. So I now have acceleration using my Nvidia video card. And one last test just for kicks and giggles, even though if you were watching my previous video, I'm going to open up a recent Kdenlive video. This is a video with 4K footage, and this thing could not run. I mean, okay, so I can click an area here and
to render this video.
Okay, I need to make a change here. There is a where is it? Yeah, right here, processing threads. It's either that or concurrent threads. I think it was this one. This will make a big mess of things when you're doing playback. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and reopen it. And then I'm going to go back into my Kdenlive 4K test. So the footage in here is 4K, and typically this player here would not be able to play it. So I'm hoping now with having the accelerated video card, the GT640 video card, it'll now play.
I got about 13 minutes for a 2.5 minute render on 4K, which really isn't too bad on a ultra board.
Awesome! Look at that! I can actually play 4K. Now it isn't glorious, but I am now able to see 4K. So this really is encouraging for me. I think I would be able to, if I want to, I could start editing 4K. I'm totally geeked. Alright. So anyway, that rather long video was how you update the default video driver to the Nvidia video driver. And I'm going to include a link for that that shows you step by step how to do it in Fedora. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next episode.